To create the Z card, we're going to make 2 sections and 3 panels. So I'm going to use my popping display box here, template, and come down to there, and then run along the line here. We're not going to bother with any other marks. So this is now giving us a panel which is 120 across, and we're going to simply move that over and repeat the same process. So that's going to be a fold line, our original pencil line there. I'm going to work towards the lower edge there and then go upright. And there we go. That's basically our card layout. Then the next thing to do is to put in the second fold line. So it's 60 millimeters in, or 6 centimeters. Just draw a line there, and again just draw a line there, and pop that in like so. So that's going to be a fold line, that's going to be a fold line, and we'll cut the outline out. So that's your next stage, to simply cut all of that out, and that will give you your basic pattern, and then pop the score lines in. Everything's now cut out, score lines are in there, and I'm ready to fold. Just a quick talk about the cardstock that we're using. I would recommend 250 GSM as a minimum to work with, and you can use pattern paper if you want to, or coloured paper. In fact, for the demonstration, I'm actually going to be using the paper, a nice sort of cotton weave paper in pink. But I just want to show you this in glorious black and white, as it were, so we can clearly see how everything comes together. There we go. So I'm going to now fold that over there. Again, I've put my pencil lines in a little bit dark so they'll show up on the camera. And that's our basic Z fold there, using the template. It gives us a really nice sized card, and the main area we can see here, it's made up now of a 120 panel across using our template, and then same again here with a dividing line at 60 millimeters there. And there we go. So the next stage I'm going to go on to is just showing you how we pop the fence panels on. But while I've got that one up, I just wanted to show you this is the one I'm going to be using. And again, I've used as you can see, a cotton weave paper there, and that will just fold over like so. The next step is to actually make the fence posts that go on there. When we make the picket fence panel supports, so we can use ordinary coloured white card if you want to. I'm working, as I said, from the CD-ROM and using my panels like so. That's off of the floral display box CD-ROM, and we're going to make those slightly bigger so they can be taped, and that means that we've got to allow 2 things. First of all, let me mention, when you use it from the CD-ROM, score below, just below the dotted line there, and that means when you fold it, it disappears, and then they're at the right size as well. And secondly, because we can either fold this after we've stuck it on or before. If you want to do it beforehand, just decide where your marks are going to be. And in fact, quite usefully, I can use that one there as my cut line, and then just go ahead and pop in your cut there like so. Now you can glue that, a little bit of wet glue, just glue that in half. And just let that stick. And at this stage you may want to just fold it so that you know where the lines are. And again, I'm just going to fold it and keep everything at an angle. And if I come back to my original here, that line is going to fold back. So now's a good point to do that. And again, line everything up so it's nice and straight. And then the next fold is going to go forward like that. So when we come to pop it on our card, line that crease up there and then that line there, and we can then just tape those ends down like so, and they'll be cut off once we've made our picket fence. Now I've gone on and used our All Occasions picket fence die and the sheet from the CD-ROM and pop that over, held it into position with some tape and ran that through my cutting machine. If you use two, there's a different pattern on each side, so it just adds a little bit of variety for the picket fence panels themselves. And once they're cut out, they're ready to glue on, and we're going to do the whole fence. I'm just going to start here just to show you how I would do it, and I'll just do a couple and then you'll see how the technique works. Then I'll go on and finish that and I'll show you how we cut that one out. So a couple of blobs of glue on there. I wouldn't put too many on just in case it dries ahead of time. And then the trick here, as we've seen, is to just pop that onto there, hold it for a few seconds, just let it set. You can line things up with a wet glue, which is why I recommend it. So I'm making that go wrong to show you. There you go. But it's keeping it level at the base here. And again, just pop it on, hold it into position. You can use your tweezers. I tend to use my scalpel here, and I can just slide. If I just show you here, I can slide everything around. But that's really where I'm aiming at, there or thereabouts, down there. Hold it into position, let it set. And my favourite saying at the moment, and rinse and repeat. Just go ahead and do the same. We want to cover the whole of the picket fence here with our panels. I'll just pop that last one on so I don't pop my hand in it, and you can see it's quite quick and simple to do. My fence panels are now dry, or well on their way, so I'm just going to pull this off of my sheet here, and then the next thing to do is just cut these to size on either side. So there's no right or wrong here. I'm going to use my trusty craft knife and just line that up with the side of the picket fence there. And just chop those off, a little bit of straight, and again for the other side there as well. Just pop my ruler on. You could use your scissors if you want to, but a craft knife is quite useful. Now that's 160 GSM folded twice, so it's a little bit thicker, so do be prepared for that. And there we go, that's our picket fence. So our fence is now ready to pop onto our card. So at this stage we're going to decorate the card, the base card, and I'm using the patterns again from the CD-ROM here, and they'll fit nicely onto our panels there. So I've gone ahead and produced those, and I'm going to just use those in conjunction with my card here. So they'll just stick in onto there, and I've allowed for a little bit of a border and then pop the door. So the same panels will fit here, but again I just do a little bit of matten layering and just cut those down so they'll just lie into position like so. So I'll go ahead now and glue that, but I do find these are a fantastic resource to use for your from the CD-ROM for these cards. And not only can we make the lovely floral display box cards with the picket fence, but they're just perfect, which is why we use for this project, which is why we're using everything here, the template and all the measurements and the picket fence, so everything will work together beautifully for us. Okay, I'll glue that up, we'll come back, and then the next step will just be to pop picket fence in, and I'll show you the gluing pattern for that. My background is all in position, glued and nice and dry, and so we're ready to pop our fence on, and we've got two methods of doing this. We can just glue the fence and stick it straight on, or we can use our foam pads and give a little bit of a lift. I quite like the fact that you get a little bit of shadow cast on it if you use those, so I'm going to use that, but the same method applies either way. But first of all, let's just talk about this. You're only going to glue, now our fence should be like this with the straight panel here and the folds on that side, so it actually mirrors or reflects that over there. We only want to actually glue onto the first panel. So if you're going for the direct glue method, just flip this over and glue 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 along there up to that fold panel. If you want to, you could just go a little bit further, use that as your guide there, if you've got that. If not, just do the 4 panels and a wee bit, and then flip it over, and the same again over here. We're going to come back 1, 2, 3, 4 panels, and it's on the fold there. So if you can see your fold, just glue to that point there, and then simply glue it and stick it down into position like so. And then as we open it, we'll just tease that up and it'll stick up. Now if we're using foam pads, and I've gone ahead and done that, these are little 1mm foam pads. You can see now, if I take that off, that we've got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 method there on my fence panels. And again, just make sure when you're doing it that you're doing it the right way. So the longest non-folded piece of fence goes across that panel, and then the shorter one, the 260mm ones, will be on that side. And again, we can just stick that into position. As I said, I favour the foam pads. That tiny little bit of lift just gives that real little bit of dimension to it. So all we're going to do now is line that up there with that end and keep everything straight with that edge there. Remember, foam pads are not quite as forgiving as glue, but if you just rest it gently, you should be fine. And already you can see why the foam pads, why I perhaps favour them, is just that bit of definition, that shadow just working in there, just makes it look three-dimensional already. But the choice is yours. There's no real right or wrong with that. And so now what we're going to do is just open this card up like so. So I'm going to pull it from this side over to here, and then pop it all the way over, and then put my creases in. It will find its own way, but it should pretty well, everything should line up for you. It should all be good. And there we go. You can see now that's our Z-fold card there. Let's just pop that there, it's a bit more light for you. So the next thing to do is to make up my panels. I can use the elements off of the CD-ROM here, or you can make them up. They're 60mm wide, and I'm just going to drop those into here like so and glue those into position. And you can work with whichever panels that you want. For me, I tend to use the first 3 here, 1, 2, 3, or just that one and that one, or a combination there or there. I tend to ignore the back panel and then just pop onto there any of the three-dimensional elements that I want. They could just fit into the background. Okay, so I've covered this thoroughly in the other tutorial for the flower box, as it were, flower display box. But what I'll do is just pop this one on, and again, just to bring this into shot, this is what we have on the CD-ROM. You can cut these, the tabs already on their size for you, and just play around with them. But on this particular one, I'm just going to glue and use that one. And I'm going to work with, if I just show you the card actually I'm doing here again, and just pop that down there. I'm just going to use those 2 panels there to make the display. So I'll pop one in the front and one in the back. And as ever, you can go ahead and pre-decorate these if you want to, and then pop them in there. So that's perfectly, it's a perfectly good way of working with it. So a little bit of glue onto the panels here. And again, there are 2 panels. I'm going to use the larger one for the back and then a smaller one at the front. And it's the same technique we've used last time. So one of those upright, one behind. Better to squeeze that over before you start. Line it up. I'm using the 2 panels. This will be the back one. So again, I'm just going to line it up by eye and pop it in there. The trick is not to have it going beyond the edge of our card here. That's that. Will upset things. Just lightly press it first of all, just to make sure everything's in position. If I open that, it is. I can see that, so I'm happy with that. Down it comes again, and a little bit of pressure, and let that set, and then go ahead and do exactly the same for the front, and then go on and just decorate those to taste. I personally, if there's not too much on it, would decorate those before I pop them in. It's just easier and less fiddly, but I just wanted to show you without any sort of bits getting in the way, as it were, a little bit more clearly how to do that. Okay, so that's basically my Z card there. All I'm going to do now is just go ahead and decorate this. Here's our finished card, and you can see now everything's in place, and I've decorated that using our lovely dies. So I've used the fancy cut flowers, our garden embellishments, and our lovely ladybirds and bees there. And they can be decorated and just added to taste wherever you want. And I think you'll agree that makes an absolutely stunning card. And I do like just using the 2 panels there, because I think that works incredibly well. And there we go, a simple card. It's not difficult to make, and I think you'd agree it looks really, really lovely. Now I've added a greetings here, just a note, and we can, if you want to, put a greetings on the back. Now this is saying to wish you a happy birthday. So obviously you wouldn't have the 2 perhaps on the same card, but you can add a panel to the back and then write a greeting in there if you want to, or mirror you know, happy birthday on there, and really do with the back as you so please. But you can see now how the card comes together, and it's designed to fold flat here to go into your envelope, flattish, depending on obviously how much you put in there. So I would say for me, those 2 panels, as we can see there, are the ones that I would work with when making these style of cards. But it really is up to you. You can work on all 3 in the back. Basically, they're very, very versatile. And again, on this example, built up, and we've got all our lovely flowers and embellishments on there. But we now actually have 3 sections in the card. And just a quick note to say that on this particular card, you can sort of come out over the edge on this side here. We could even spill out over that edge, as we've seen on our floral display box cards as well. There we go, again, just another way and suggestion of making a card. So I hope this tutorial gives you the confidence to have a go and make these lovely cards yourself. Just summing up, they are very, very simple to do. They don't take too long. If you work with the lovely dies that we've got and the CD-ROM, then all the resources are there for you to work with it and to really produce some absolutely stunning cards. I can only speak for myself, but I really enjoy these. I think it just gives that extra bit of oomph to your card. And of course we could change it, we could make it into a Christmas card, any seasonal, occasional as well. This is just our starting point for you. Right, enjoy your crafting, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.